Do you hate it when you're browsing online for homes, you're pulling up a nice website, you're clicking on an advertisement, some photos look really pretty and you'd like to see more, and then shortly after a real estate professional calls you on the phone and says, "Hey, I noticed you've been browsing online. Let's connect." Are you one of those people that either A, doesn't answer their phone, B, answers their phone and says, "Hey, listen, I am just browsing. Please carry on. Do not call me again. Have a lovely day"? Or are you one of those people that gets actually irritated when salespeople call you on the phone? I would like to admit that I am one of those people where I don't love to connect with people until I am at a moment of decision. But being on this side of the fence and working in the real estate industry for over 7 years, I'd actually like to offer some insights that might be counterintuitive to your initial instinct of, "I'm just browsing, go away." So please sit back, and I hope that you'll listen to a few very brief points about why I actually think it's really beneficial to meet with someone right away. And I'll make a few quick comparisons and a few notes to see if I have changed your mind. If not, don't worry, keep on saying I'm browsing, but give this a listen and see if this maybe changes your point of view at all. So like so much of our lives these days, we do so many things online. We buy our groceries online. We book our doctor's appointments online. We sign up our kids for sports online. We talk to our friends online, like everything. So of course, you're going to be shopping for houses online. That is where many people start. That's where I started each and every time, even when I'm looking for rental properties, even since I've been a real estate agent. If I'm looking in another city for an investment, of course I'm shopping online. And more often than not, I'm clicking on an advertisement or I'm going to someone's website to browse and someone will reach out to me. And I know that a lot of people are very much in their own private bubble when a salesperson calls them. And I would just like to explain a couple things that I found on my journey that I think might be helpful and that I think might soften your point of view on connecting with a sales professional early on in the process. So I think our first instinct, especially when we are shopping for houses, is that we don't want to be bothered. We don't want anybody to bother us. We're in this very first phase. We're in this like research phase. We're just thinking about things. We are literally just browsing. You know, we don't want somebody asking us a million questions that we might not even have the answers to. We don't want that pressure. We don't want to feel like we have to be attached to somebody right away, because honestly, like I think that my first instinct is they're going to pressure me. They're going to want me to go look at houses. They're going to want me to like buy now, buy now, buy now. And I think that that is kind of an outdated way of thinking. There might be real estate agents or other sales professionals out there that are like that. In my experience, a lot of us really care for people and we really do want to help people and we just want to be able to give people information. So what I've discovered is that there are sort of 3 stages in the home buying process. So I'd like to talk to you about that right now and about why connecting with someone early doesn't mean talking to someone every day, doesn't mean being harassed with a million text messages all the time. Sometimes connecting with someone early is very beneficial. Not sometimes, all the time. And I'm going to explain why. Okay, so like I said, there's kind of typically 3 phases in the journey of buying a home. So there's the research phase, which I often kind of call the just browsing phase. You're so new. You're just researching, you're just browsing. Please leave me alone. Leave me to my own devices. But thank you for letting me see photos. The second phase, I think, is the consideration phase, where people are then starting to seriously consider, okay, is this neighborhood something that I really love? Is this house something that I really love? And then there's some serious consideration about how property A, B, C might actually fit into your life. And then the third part of the buying process, I like to call the decision phase, where you have found what you think you want, you know what you think your deal breakers are, and you're just ready to be led into some houses and make a decision. Now, a lot of people, myself included in the past, think that they do not need to involve a real estate professional until they are in that decision phase, where they say, do you know what? I know what I want. I know where I want. I maybe need to see a handful of houses. I just need you to let me into this house and write up an offer for me. That honestly is where a lot of people think that they need to bring a real estate agent into the process, is really in step 3. That's where people think. And I would just like to say that I've done that myself in the past. My very first and my very second home that I ever purchased with my husband, we did not get a realtor until stage 3. Now this was like 20 years ago, before I kind of knew. And my point of view was I didn't want to be bothered. I also didn't want to bother them with wasting their time if I didn't exactly know exactly what house I wanted or exactly what neighborhood. So I thought I was being kind and not, bothering them. And I also didn't want them to bother me with 101 questions. But over the years, I think what I've really come to realize is that if you involve somebody early on in the process, it's actually so much easier. So let me explain. So when you're in phase 1 and you're just browsing and you're just gathering research, you don't want anybody to bother you. But what I was thinking about the other day was it's kind of like getting married and hiring a wedding planner. So let's say in the beginning, you're not really committing to anything. You're newly engaged, newly browsing for houses, and you're just sort of trying to decide, like, what season do I want to get married in? What style of house do I want to live in? How many guests am I going to have? What kind of venue do I like? You're just really gathering information. In the wedding industry, a lot of people will go hire a wedding planner right away, and they will have an initial consultation. They'll talk about first steps, and it's really just a meeting of the minds to kind of get on the same page for everything. And then quite often you might not meet again for a while. You'll casually stay in touch until things start to get a bit more serious. And that might warrant some more meetings. And then, of course, once you get very close to the wedding, there's going to be a lot of meetings and there's going to be a lot of involvement on either side. So I kind of feel like hiring a realtor in the beginning of your house hunting journey is kind of like hiring a wedding planner at the beginning of your wedding process. It's nice to meet, it's nice to talk and have ideas, and it's nice for each person to know where you're at. So I hope that makes sense. I was thinking about that when I was at the gym today. Most people don't immediately think that they need to have somebody help them, and often they don't. But I think what a real estate professional can offer in the just browsing or in the research phase is that they can gather a little bit of information for you on neighborhoods. They can sort of let you know what's happening in the market, what the trends are in the market, from a high level view, what's selling, what's not selling. Realtors are on the ground every day, and I think we just like to share our knowledge with people. So I know I'm never going to ask somebody, hey, you want to go see this house? Hey, you want to go see this house? I'm going to try and offer them as much information as possible to sort of help them with their wheels turning in their research phase. So I know that when people are really early on in their journey, they don't want to be bothered. And so I try not to push people and scare people away or make them feel overwhelmed. I like to have a chat, see where you're at, and see what sort of valuable information that I can offer that you might not be aware of or that might be helpful to you in your very beginning journey. And now I wouldn't want to be bothered every day all the time, and I'm not going to do that to somebody else either. Really, step 2 is when you start to chat more. And step 3 is when you really get to know your agent and they get to know you. Now, step 2, the consideration phase, is kind of where the serious buyers live. I think they've done some research, they are actively comparing properties, they've possibly attended open houses, and they're starting to really envision what their home looks like and where that home is going to be. Now, this is where real estate agents can be very invaluable at this process because they can provide very personalized property suggestions. They can provide very personalized and detailed information on other sales in that area or other sales in that market type or house type. And then an agent who understands this phase of the process, this consideration phase, is going to be able to tailor the information so it's wanted by the buyer and it's appreciated by the buyer. Where it's in stage 1 of just browsing, some of this information might be really overwhelming. When you are in stage 2, I think it's really important to have a real estate agent that knows where you're at, that can provide this information. So stage 2, it's invaluable to have a realtor. So you want to have someone that you trust. And so in stage 1, that's where you're sort of getting to know someone, building that rapport, so that in stage 2, when you're asking for something important, you can trust that that agent is giving you that information because you have been keeping in touch with them over the last few months and you have realized that they do provide some value and they're trustworthy and knowledgeable. Okay, so finally in stage 3, this is where I've always thought I needed somebody when I was in my decision-making, ready to act phase. So I didn't want anyone in my just browsing phase. I didn't want anybody in my research phase. I only wanted somebody to essentially let me into a house and write an offer for me. And I think that's actually still a lot of people these days. So you really want to have an agent in stage 3 who understands you and understands what you're looking for, because this stage 3 is often the most exciting, but also the most stressful. So you really want to have an agent who understands you and understands what your needs are, so that they can really make the process as stress-free as possible. And the best way that they're going to do that is to be able to know you and understand who you are and what you're looking for, so that we can tailor our services to you. So when you get to this stage 3 of decision making, I think it's really important to have somebody that knows you and that you trust, because you want someone who's going to be able to offer you guidance, to be able to know when to push you, when to step back, and when to be supportive, or when to potentially say, go for it. Some people need that push, some people don't. But having someone who knows you and understands you, if you've been working with them throughout the months, this is going to be a huge asset through your journey. So I've had agents who really pushed me into buying properties in the past, and I just hated that because I felt like they didn't understand me. But at the same time, I never met with them until I was in my decision-making phase, so I didn't really give them the opportunity to understand me. So I really think that meeting with someone early is going to help you in the crucial moment at the end. I hope that you can see here that most sales professionals really do want to help people. It's really a driving force into a reason why we do this job, and also because a lot of us really love pretty houses. But we do want to be helpful, and the best way to be helpful is to understand our clients and to understand where they're at and when they need us and don't need us. So in the very beginning, when we're calling people after browsing our websites, we don't want to bother you. We just want to say hello, ask you a couple of questions, let you know that we're here, see where you're at in your buying journey, and then we really want to tailor our services to match your journey. So like I said, if you're a 2 out of 10, I'm going to be a 2 out of 10. If you're a 10 out of 10, I'm going to be a 10 out of 10. But oftentimes, I just want people to know that we're not here to pressure you. We're here to be of service when you need it. And the best way to know when you need it is just for us to communicate. I hope that that made a little bit of sense as to why we call people, as to why we reach out. And I hope that it offers some insights as to why it's sometimes easier to chat with someone right away rather than waiting to that decision-making process. There you have it. This is why we call. This is what we're looking for. And I hope that even if you are just browsing, you might take a moment or two and chat with the salesperson on the other end of that call and see if it leads anywhere great. You never know. You might just meet a very awesome real estate agent.